Welcome to 2023. Happy New Year. See everybody in the room, especially.
Oh, thank you.
On a sad note, Bob Thomas passed away in Naples, Florida on December 14th after a heart attack. His daughter Dustin was with him. There is hard for Bob. Yep. Also, Don Rochester is at Friendship. He's at Friendship recuperating. Details on that. He's in room 3026 and receiving visitors. So if you're out that way, stop in and see him. 3026 and receiving visitors.
Ben?
Yes.
David Points had a house fire.
Oh, no.
The holiday break as well.
For those of you who didn't hear, David Points, Dr. Points had a house fire for the holiday weekend.
He didn't, not hurt.
Nobody was injured.
Not that I'm aware of. He had property.
And property damage. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers as well. Anything else? With that, our call for introspection today is John Montgomery. Our song leader will be Judy Clark. And the Pledge of Allegiance will be Joyce Montgomery. Nick Hagan will be introducing our guest today. So, John.
Thank you, President Ben. President Ben has made it a goal of this year to make our invocation a little more secular, shall we say, ecumenical, not so prone to a particular religious belief. And as one of the persons that volunteered to do that job, I'm going to make an effort today to follow the lead that President Ben has set. It says a call for introspection is what we're calling it. And some people find that a little different, a change, if you will, from what we've done. I chose to find something on the internet from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Now, when I was a student, which is a half century ago, that's
Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, Abraham Lincoln and I were friends. That would be a century and a half ago. When I was a student 50 years ago, Ralph Waldo Emerson was considered one of the great writers of his century. And I have to say, some of the things that he said still appear on the internet are pretty relevant. And I hope this applies for a New Year's wish. It's entitled, "This is My Wish for You," and I hope it applies to Kiwanis and our members. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson's wish for you. Comfort on difficult days, smiles when sadness intrudes, rainbows to follow the clouds, laughter to kiss your lips, sunsets to warm your heart, hugs when spirits sag, beauty for your eyes to see, friendships to brighten your being, faith so that you can believe, confidence for when you doubt, courage to know yourself, patience to accept the truth, and love to complete your life.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Judy. You need to...
Okay, I'm just gonna have to shout from here because I need the keyboard. Does everybody have a little slip of paper with the words to the great children's song, Oats, Peas, Beans, and Barley Grow? I'm gonna see if you guys can spit the words fast enough. We are doing a nature project today, so I figured this was appropriate. Okay, it goes like this. Oats, peas, beans, and barley grow. Oats, peas, beans, and barley grow. And you are the trees, and oats, peas, beans, and barley grow. Okay, yeah.
We need that keyboard, Judy.
I gotta sing, gotta pick the words.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Nick.
Play.
All right. I am ready. I'm Nick Kagan. I'm a member. I'm an attorney here in town, down here on Campbell. We have a couple of guests here today. When I call your name, just stand up and introduce yourself along with your Kiwanis. So we have Eric Long from St. John's, and his Kiwanis host is Dan Carnes. Yeah. We also have Keith Farmer. He's from Straight Street. He's here with Cesar Grant. Then we also have some visitors from our Action Club. We have Robin and John Faust, JJ Harper, Mark Shelton, and Jeff Schweiger. So if there's anybody else who I missed, introduce yourself and welcome, and we look forward to having you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nick. Ken Briggs has passed along the Salvation Army recognitions. I wanted to do that. Please, if you haven't received one of the balloon pins, John, do we have some of the balloon pins out?
I think we do.
We'll get some. If you haven't received one of the balloon pins, please step up so we can get you one. But this year, during Dickens of a Christmas, we did the Salvation Army bell ringing. 30 volunteers and over $2,000 were donated. We should recognize Tara Marciniak, President of Senator Square, where she gives us a closet where we can put things away at 9 o'clock when they need to be put away. And Captain Russell Clay of the Salvation Army came down each Friday evening at 9 o'clock to pick up the kettle. We did it on Dickens of a Christmas this year. They had, by the way, the snow was soaked. And I know that because I don't know, I ended up eating some of it. And I was a little disappointed. I thought it would be snow. But
Russell Clay is on Zoom, by the way.
And Russell Clay is on Zoom. Our virtual kettle that we set up has a little over $700 in that, and that's come mostly from our Kiwanis family, from you all. We're now approaching $20,000 for our 15 years of bell ringing support for the Salvation Army. So, thank you, all of you, Reef and Susan Kessler, Betsy and Chris Bohannon, Stephanie and Earl Reynolds, David and Marguerite Bowers, Preston Tyler and Cynthia Hardy, Glenn Pierce, Joyce Wall, Ken Briggs, Jeff Schweiger, Andy and Marie Stone, John and Sally Ewart, Beth and I, Bruce Swanson, Bill Vespish, Jay and Maurice Taylor, Joe Gaither, Rupert Cutler, Brenda McDaniel, Joe Leamer, Nick Hagan, and Bruce Swanson. Again, thank you all very much. This is a big event for us and very supportive of the Salvation Army. They do great work. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're here, stand if you're here, we want to get you a balloon pin. Also, I want to invite you all to a Zoom meeting Friday morning at 8 a.m. That's Friday the 6th at 8 a.m. I'll get this information on. It's at 8:30. And the information will be on our calendar on the website. This is for those of us that are interested in the Larry the Log Perch project. Sherry Hartman has put together a Zoom call that they'll be discussing the artwork and illustrations for the book, the Larry the Log Perch, which is connected to our Nature Park project. So please consider doing that at 8:30 a.m. Friday morning Zoom. The information will be posted to the calendar, which is on the website, the login information, passcode, and all that other stuff. And of course, today we're doing the jugs to start growing some more stuff for the garden. So we'll be doing that after the meeting today. Finally, Roanoke Kiwanis Foundation. JC has asked that we extend it 2 more weeks for the drawing. Please contribute $103, qualifies you for the drawing. So in 2 weeks, JC, in 2 weeks, we're going to have the drawing for the prize from the foundation for those that have contributed. So let's keep that going. I think we've had some pretty good success today.
Yeah. Over 10,000 so far.
Over 10,000 so far has been raised. Thank you all so much. Your generosity is amazing. Officers meeting is tomorrow at 3 o'clock. If you're interested, cocktails is at 4:30.
Could be standing room only.
Could be standing room only. And the board meeting is at the Water Authority on Monday at noon. So please join us if you can. We do have.
Birthdays and grants.
We got birthdays and grants. Okay, and John, if you'll do birthdays, and then we'll have Bob come do grants.
Thank you, President Ben. I'm substituting for Vice President Jean Bollendorf, who normally does this. And I guess Jean is celebrating her birthday because tomorrow actually is Jean's birthday. She's one of several in the month of January. I'm going to read them. Those of you that are here, please stand. January 5th, Jean Bollendorf. January 6th, Dirk Kirk, who is an out-of-town member who lives in the Charlottesville area, but has actually been a member of this club for 30 years. A cousin of Andy Stone's, and his grandfather was a president. He's a strong Kiwanian, even though we don't see him very much. January 6th also is Stephanie Moon Reynolds. She's traveling today. January 7th is John Bradshaw, who is on Zoom. And John is turning 90 on Saturday. I can tell you that John has a locker of a brag buck. I'm not going to go into detail other than to say that he wants to expand the idea of $1 per year to a multiple of that. I'll save it until he's here. He is on Zoom, but we're not able to have him speak to the, I don't know if that was a designated intentional maneuver or not, but people on Zoom are not able to speak. But he'll be here before long and we'll celebrate his birthday with him. The other birthdays include January 8th, Bob Rutherford, January 11th, Steve English. Steve, why don't you stand up? I know you're in the room. January 13th is Chris Head. January 15th is Tom Blake. January 21st is new member Rhonda Purdue. Rhonda, I want to salute. Rhonda has really jumped on the bandwagon and been a great member 2 weeks since. She worked a project 4 hours after she was inducted. She participated in the foundation support. She's here today. Happy birthday to you, Rhonda. January 23rd is Terry Vandelin. January 28th, I sort of have mixed emotions about this because I don't want to make too big a deal about it just because it's my birthday. It also is the club's birthday, and it also is the birthday of longtime Kiwanians Andy Stone and Peter Johnson. Both of you are here today. It was a proud moment when the three of us discovered that we had the same birthday and happened to match the club. The three of us were talking when we discovered that, and it's been kind of a fun thing to observe every year. January 29th is Don Evans. January 31st is Frank Rogan. I talked to Judy. She was willing to play Happy Birthday, but I'm not willing to sing it. So just wish happy birthday to all. Thank you.
What's the old joke that Rodney Dangerfield used to say when he was born? He was so ugly, the doctor slapped his mother.
How does that relate to my birthday?
Bob Haberman, if you'd come forward and do grants, please.
And thank you, President Ben. Our first grant today is going to St. John's, and Reverend Long and Dan Carnes, would you please come forward? True is undergoing some significant changes, and Dan's going to talk very briefly about how that is going to be impacted, and then Reverend Long will tell us a little bit about how they are going to use the grant.
Yeah, so we can get you on set.
I'm really not going to talk about what True is going to turn into because I'm not sure exactly. I have some idea, but I can tell you what True has been. I've had the pleasant opportunity for the last 6 or 8 years to work True, which is called True because it stands for Temporary Relief of Unexpected Emergencies. And this is where we help folks with some of their needs that they encountered because of sickness or because of lack of work or different things. And I've enjoyed working, but there are going to be some changes. And I think Reverend Long can tell you more about that.
First of all, thank you for having me here and for entrusting us with these resources. So what we have done for years at St. John's is on Tuesdays have people come in, be met by volunteers, and then we would give modest up to about $100. We upped them over the years, but that amount of money to utilities, rent that couldn't be paid. We increasingly, of course, COVID disrupted all of that ability to be together, but it also taught lessons. And what we recognized is that we had so many people that were just kind of bouncing through our doors that we were never going deeper with them. And we also, over the years, recognized that there were people that were coming in that were really, what their needs were, they were at a crossroads in their life where they really had the ability to overcome years, maybe even historic poverty, homelessness, addictions that had been, that they were triumphing violently over, and yet they needed more than just kind of this one-time little thing. Maybe they had a need for transportation that they, they had a job that was offered to them, but, it was a single mom and she needed that sort of transportation to be able to get her to where she's going. And so we call that a crossroads ministry. And what we found is that we wanted to not only go, with these kind of more topical needs that we were just meeting, a lot of individual people, but just going in and out of their lives. We're continuing that with our area partners like Ram House, and we are giving towards that. But the St. John's really needs to be a part of people's lives and engage with people and live with them and go deeper with these stories. And so that's our Crossroads ministry. So that's where we're really feeling like we can concentrate and go alongside people in these crossroads in their lives that have these needs and have the real ability to change the direction of their lives, or kids' lives, and generations to come. And so the grant that you're giving is going towards that program. And thanks for entrusting us with it.
Okay, our second grant today, if I could call up Jackie Bledsoe and Eric Farm, if they would come forward, please. We're going to talk about Straight Street. And Jackie's going to introduce Reverend Farm.
Good afternoon. It's good to be back. It's good to see everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to introduce our next recipient, Keith Farmer. I'm familiar with Straight Street. I'm going to let Keith tell you in detail what it's all about. I look at Straight Street as a safe harbor for young people. Keith has done so much with this program, and I think he saved so many young people. So allow me to introduce Keith Farmer, and he will tell you all about Straight Street.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here. I say we because it's not me. I just have the chance to be the short person coming before you to tell you about the ministry. There's so many people that make it possible. It's not me. It's an army of people. But most of all, I can save no one, only Christ can. And 28 years ago, we realized to provide a safe place for kids to go to get off the street, seeing that as an alternative for fun. There's no future in that. Straight Street was created. And through Straight Street, we've been able to work with teen parents, kids incarcerated with a chaplain service at the detention home. We work with victims of crime. Often when there's a shooting taking place in Roanoke People's Shelter, we go. And I'm very thankful for the many opportunities that have been presented for us to be able to serve in the ministry. 10 years ago, we were presented with a unique opportunity when the police department and the Attorney General's office, they use our facility often for trainings. So we were having a training on occult crime and gangs. And during that training, the State Attorney General's office was talking about how people will sell guns once, sell a drug once, they'll sell a kid 20 times a day, 7 days a week, 5 days, 5 years before they're just no life left. And it broke our heart. We realized, what do we do with that? And so we prayed really hard and we stayed silent. What do we do with this? Lord, you provide the way. And he has in an amazing way. So 10 years later, there's a shelter that I can't tell you exactly where it's at. There's a shelter that takes care of girls ages 12 to 17 that have been rescued from human trafficking in Virginia. This past Christmas, I had the wonderful opportunity to sit with a 15-year-old girl who was flown here by helicopter from Homeland Security to Roanoke to go to the shelter, as she sat and opened a basket about this size, and it meant the world to her. I don't know how many presents you opened at Christmas, but watching her open that gift was the best thing I could witness this Christmas. And I'm very thankful for so many people to make it possible. Ken Briggs helped us get into our first building. Joe Gaither is one of my heroes and one of our board members. He's one of those solid rocks that support Straight Street. But the lampstand has a unique name, and the reason the lampstand came into existence, and I'll be quiet with the name, it's out of Matthew 5:14 through 16. We don't come up with names just to be creative. We come up with names for a purpose. You are a light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light for all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. All of these young ladies who have been somebody's product, who've been abused and used and cast to the side, they have a chance as young ladies who come to Christ, literally be the lampstand for him to shine through for others to see. And when many other people would think the trauma that they've gone through, how is that possible? I would encourage you to reach out to us, and I can tell you how that's possible, because we work with victims who are much bolder than I will ever be because of what they've gone through. Your money is going to help buy birthday cakes, Easter things, stuff for Christmas, simple things that we take for granted, but these girls are going to be able to be spoiled because of your generosity. We thank you for doing that. So thank you for your support.
Thank you, Bob. I've said from the very beginning, Kiwanis is in the business of lifting people up, and I can't think of two finer examples of doing just that. Thank you so much. We have 4.5 minutes. If anybody has a brag. I will tell you, I was looking on Zoom and I saw John Bradshaw, and he was rocking his whole party look with his shades.
You never know what.
So if anybody has a brag book, now's your chance. Yes, Judy has a brag book. Oh, good, she's bringing her wallet.
This will be a good. I just thought you guys would like to know, those of you who were in the club maybe, I don't know, 7 years ago, remember the pianist Karen Madison, who used to play for us very beautifully every week. Well, there's going to be a major change in Karen's life. I thought you'd like to know about. This Saturday, she is being ordained priest in the Episcopal Church. It's going to be incredible accomplishment. So I just thought you'd like to know that.
All right. I like what he said first, a bride book. Get some things, brides up here. Listen, I did not get a chance to name our winner for November. It was almost the same person, but Mr. October told me not to. He said he did not deserve the other two people that he had. So the winner of I Beat Milton Hardy, the last one, I didn't have shades for today. Please forgive me, I didn't know we were doing brag bucks today. But where's Lieutenant Don? Come on up, you won, sir.
Lieutenant.
Yay, Dawn!
Lieutenant Don. Mr. November.
Somebody get a picture of me.
Somebody take a picture.
Look at you being great.
Just push
You
down.
broke the camera. How you break the camera?
Just push the button. There you go.
Congratulations.
Yay, Dawn!
I know all we have to do is mention Milton Hardy's name. That's all we gotta do. Jenny, you're gonna introduce our speaker today?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is so nice to be back. I've been here since July of 2021. So it's awesome to see everybody's faces and start the new year out right. I am excited to be able to introduce our guest speaker today, Beth Davidson. Beth and I met when we were both working at Mill Mountain Theater in the mid-90s. And it's hard to believe that was almost 30 years ago. It seems like yesterday.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, we worked there with Abraham Lincoln.
Theater and Abraham
Well, we really did work there with the late, great Mona Black and Jim Ayers. And it was, talk about some mentors. But anyway, so Beth has a BA in theater from Roanoke College. And she later went on to UVA to earn her Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction. Yes, we have a fellow alum to my right. Beth has spent over 25 years working in education, 19 of which were in the public schools, mostly locally. And after decades of studying research and best practices in literacy and executive functioning, Beth decided to, gosh darn it, I'm just going to create my own program. So she created her own consulting business called Shifting Paradigms, as well as a sort of collaborative and partnering educational nonprofit organization, which is called Why Not Workshop. And it's kind of a think outside the box approach to education, to put it in the most simple terms. And Why Not Workshop exists to serve children who struggle in a traditional classroom. Beth has worked tirelessly for the past 3 years, or if not 3+ years, but during the whole pandemic lockdown, she had her nose to that grindstone without stopping, just worked tirelessly to complete all the tedious steps that are necessary
to create both of these new organizations right from scratch and with basically no guidance. A lot of internet, a lot of picking the brains of experts in town and so forth, but it definitely was not a process for the faint of heart, but she succeeded. And unlike me, who wasted 2 years, basically lied down and just looked at my phone, that actually created something and it's something productive. But I'm very proud to be a part of these programs. I'm a board member at Roanoke Workshop. And I just tip my hat to Beth for all of her hard work and success and bringing these things into fruition. So let's turn it over to her so we can hear more about her vision. And thank you so much for joining us, Beth.
Waking up. What do I do here? Just waking up.
Wake up.
Oh, my password?
Gravity.
Gravity? You're familiar with that word?
My glasses.
Oh.
Okay, I can do it. Okay, there we go. If you need me to hand your glasses. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna kind of fade
Bar
it.
she blows?
Okay. I am probably going to be walking around here for a second. Jenny, thank you for doing that and saying nice things about me. Jenny, I chose Jenny for my Roanoke Workshop board. She was, I think, the first person I asked because she's the most hardworking, compassionate, and ethical person I know. So I thought she would be a good. Those are some lies. So I do have these to pass out. I think I might, maybe, yeah, let's get them going. I'm gonna take one. Okay, so just take one bee bag and then pass it around and along to the next table.
All right.
So if you guys can grab one, I know there are 8 bee bags, so we might have enough for 2 people each, but I need everybody to at least have one. And I'll bring, you guys, start in the middle. Yeah, just one each. And while you're passing those around, I will get started here. Move it where?
Yeah, watch that cord.
Oh,
That's kind of in our way.
yeah.
Careful.
You mean that way to here? Yeah. Start just spinning around. Just nobody trip over this. Yeah, just do not pass.
Good job.
Okay. So as Jenny said, my business right now that I'm working actively is Shifting Paradigms Consulting Group. And we have the same vision and mission as Roanoke Workshop. Our audience is just a little more broad. Right now I have I'm working with a Catholic school and also working with an adult daycare. So my clients are a lot more diverse in terms of age and ability and all that than Roanoke Workshop. Roanoke Workshop, we focus on K-12 students in the city. So our goal is to eventually become a K-12 school. So Shifting Paradigms will provide all of the curriculum and programs. Okay, everybody has one? Perfect. Okay, so we have, this is great. So we might actually have another 2. Well, yeah, you want to have that? Thank you. Okay. I didn't really have helpers. Oh, you lots of helpers. So I'm going to have to be switching back and forth between different classes so I can actually see. I need to see to be able to talk. Okay, so when I talked to Mr. Bestich about the theme, he said it was community, and the building block of community is, communication. So play is an integral part of communication. And when we talk about communication today, we're going to talk about communication inside our own head, also communication between our brains and our bodies, meaning the sensory input from our joints and other body parts, your arms, your legs, and all that, your gut. And then also communication between each other and ourselves. I have a bunch of stuff planned with you today to show you how this works. If it gets real fun with bean bags, and we'll kind of just stick with that. So, and I also have some other stuff planned, so it just depends on how much fun we have, and we get to the stuff at the end. So I want you guys to be able to enjoy it. So play is a building block of community, and I hope, oh, this is very interesting. Okay, so all the formatting on this is not, that's all right, I'll read it. That's okay, just when you switch, like platforms, that's okay. So play involves exploration, imagination, problem solving, critical thinking, concentration, patience, teamwork. It reduces stress, increases productivity, all things you want employees, right? The benefits for children are undeniable for play, but also adults have executive functions too. So if you want to be a productive member of society or a good employee, a good manager, a good boss, you also are using your executive functions all the time. So what is an executive function? I just want you to calm down right now. There will not be a quiz. Okay, there's no quiz on this information, but I can always tell you more later. So these are skills responsible for executing tasks. They take place in the frontal lobe of your brain. These skills are not fully developed to your mid-20s. So when you were making all those silly decisions as a teenager, that's why. Okay, so when we hold our kids accountable for being organized and on time and on task and having a messy room, then that's not really developmentally appropriate for them. When we get stressed and we're holding ourselves accountable for being on time, being pleasant in an environment that maybe is a little stressful, then that's not appropriate for us. Okay, so all of these, okay, so all of these functions, attention, organization, impulse control, behavior control, perseverance, inhibition, keeping yourself from doing a task, like yelling out when you're in class or confused in a meeting, or inhibition from, everybody's ever been a teacher? Any teachers in the room, former teachers? Okay, well, then you know that teachers are the worst in meetings. Y'all are so quiet, polite. Teachers are the worst. They have zero inhibition. They can't keep themselves from talking from back. I'll tell you, 25 years ago. So that is executive functioning. So, excuse me, stress or trauma derails these skills. Think about when you're stressed and you lash out at somebody, or what happens when your executive functions aren't functioning? Okay, that's dysregulation. What might this look like in children? So those of you with kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, how have you experienced that? Dysregulation with kids, what would that look like? I said there wouldn't be a quiz, this is like a quiz, I'm sorry. What would that look like? Temper tantrum. What else? Any age kid, really? Teenager? Say again? Sulking. Yeah, sulking, pouting. Yep. Do you know any adults that do that? Okay, there it is. Yep. Okay, so that was my next question. What about adults? Yeah. We work with people that, in meetings can get their way, and then they get, their stuff, and, you're like, hey, you need to, calm it down, step back. So that's because their executive functions are not regulated. They cannot self-regulate. So how does self-regulation work in adults? How can we help with that? So what are some ways that you play? What are some ways that you help yourself regulate? You might run or walk. You might ride a bike. You might do crosswords. Free-cell. What? Free-cell. Okay, yeah, just any kind of game, right? That's play. You might be a drummer in a rock and roll band. We have some musicians in here, right? So those are ways that you are using your brain to calm things down, okay? And so we're going to talk about ways to use your body to connect and integrate your brain to calm things down and help you communicate better. Okay, so what we're going to do today, this is with, I guess I should have kept some bean bags myself. That was silly. Were there any extras? I didn't keep any.
I didn't go.
Well, did you guys get any bags up here? Okay, so.
Sorry, John, I didn't think we'd have to take it away.
Impulse control.
All right, yes, thank you for that impulse control. That was very good to see that. So he's already regulated, he's calm. So he's doing a good job with that. Yesterday, when I was doing this with a board member, we were doing these activities we're getting ready to do, and I just got so into it and then got discombobulated and I threw it at her. It was an impulse. And we were supposed to be tossing or placing. And I just got so into it and then threw it like right almost at her face. It was at her shoulder. So she's still on the board, thankfully, if you're wondering. That was a little stressful. So I will ask if you all may choose to participate or not. I would love for everybody to participate. And I thought if you guys in time would do it right here so people on Zoom can see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a.
Well, then you guys can share here. Well, because there are other.
Oh,
people
I'm
too.
sorry, Sharon.
All right. So I would highly.
Thank you.
I would highly recommend, because we're talking about input to your brain, when you are on your feet, you are getting messages, sensory input from the floor into your feet, up through your joints, and that's helping your brain know where you are in space, okay? So you can be seated if you like.
You want us on the camera?
Yeah, okay, that'd be good.
She wants us to
You
be
can
on.
just- yeah,
So
start share over
Zoom
Zoom.
people can see.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
Hi,
And now we
Dawn.
can demonstrate it as well. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna
Zoomers know
start,
what-
and I'm gonna try to do this as gracefully as I can. You need to learn a few of the basic moves that we're doing, some like core requirements. What you're gonna do, and if you can stand, you are able and would like to participate, if not given. You're gonna start out, let's say, take one bean bag and hold it in your right hand, and you're just going to give it a slight toss. You want to keep kind of your elbow at your side. You don't want your arm way out, you're not out here, you're not going to toss real high. You're just going to kind of keep your elbow at a 90 degrees, toss it up, and when you catch it, you're going to squeeze. So when you catch it and squeeze, and you'll notice that you have to experiment with how hard am I pushing up? How can I, the other thing is too, you need to be tracking with your eyes. And I'm horrible at that. I always use my peripheral vision. So that's something that I'm working on. So as you play, you're going to be catching the bean bag in your hand as you toss it up. Then switch hands, try it with a couple of times with that. All right, so now you know how high or how hard you have to push that bean bag up to get it to about shoulder height and see, and not fly out of your hand and where you're right to catch it. You can also do this with racquetballs. What about that? You have to work up to racquetball. So I love that. All right, the next thing you're going to do, we're also going to be working on crossing our midline, just going to integrate the two hemispheres of your brain. So when I say flap the bean bag, you're not going to do it in the center. You're going to, I'm going to show you real quick.
You're going to take the bean bag and do this across the midline. So yeah, it's not in the center. So when we say clap it on the other side, you're basically doing, yeah, okay.
All right. I can do that.
So there you go.
Okay, so once you practice that a couple of times, let's see, you guys can answer it. So let's see where we start. Now you're going to toss it up. It is a microphone. Hold on.
You're going to toss from one hand to the other and make a little try. That was great. You're going to toss from one hand to the other and then clap it onto the next one. So 1, 2, 3. You'll notice if you start a rhythm and you can feel, oh, I like throw it, yeah. So you toss it up, you're making a triangle. And after you do that, maybe 5. Okay, I can't talk and do this at the same time apparently. So then you switch hands and you're gonna go up and clap. Up, down, clap. Up, down, clap. You start to feel the rhythm in that. You're also eventually, if we did get to the point where we were skilled enough at this, and you notice that every time you pause, you're still like, whoop, oh, I got it too far, too high, I dropped it. But once you get really skilled at it, you'll notice the rhythm, right? And so part of the reason why we're doing this is because, oh, here we go. So repetitive, it'll come back. Rhythmic repetitive motions and sounds fuel the brain. So when you have a kid or yourself who's regulated, doing stuff like this that has rhythmic repetitive motions and sound will help regulate your frontal lobe. So this is called Valid X, developed by another teacher in Kansas. And it stands for Balanced Visual Auditory Exercises, Valid X. And so this is a series of activities. We start with beanbags and we move on to racquetballs. I'm not very good at racquetball, which is another reason why I did not bring it. So I ended up chasing him around more than anything. Behavior control, impulse control, behavior control. Okay. So basically what's happening, physical, visual, auditory, and sensory input from your feet, from the beanbags, from your arms moving, is helping to regulate the brain. And the more complex we get, the more work your brain is doing. So let's see if we can get to a different one. Now, if you can share with a partner, maybe one partner goes first, or you have 2 beanbags, you're going to start with both beanbags, one in each hand, and you're just going to do the same toss you did with one hand, but you're going to do it with both. Okay? So both at the same time. You have 2. And what you're doing is you're making sure that your eyes are moving back and forth to both of those beanbags. So if you need another beanbag, share with your partner, one person can go, and then the next person take a turn. Wow. It's not as easy, is it? You just wait till we get your
I bought the book on how to juggle. You guys have been prisoners for me.
I know, right? Just get that back. Okay. Okay. So everybody got a sense of what it feels like. So now you know what it feels like when that beanbag hits your hand, and that's giving you input as well. It's literally a dumb. So let's see.
Juggling for dumb.
Where are we? Next, that's go against us. All right.
I guess it starts with 2.
We did right to left, toss. Okay, ready? This is gonna be tough. All right,
That's
then you
really
guys are.
good, Dan.
Are you all practiced up?
Oh.
Okay.
I mean, like,
So the first one we did with one beanbag, we tossed it up, and then we caught it, and then clapped it back. Now we're gonna go around and our back. Ready? Hold up. Okay, we're gonna toss it up, catch it around your back. Yeah, toss it up, catch around your back. Toss it up,
does it get
catch
so when you
around
get
your back. Up,
My older son
around
is
your back.
really good at it.
So once you get that a few times, do it 5 or 10 times. Then switch hands. You started with your left and now do the same thing with your right.
I've got to say, I've never done this.
Up, catch, around your back.
on what?
Juggle the
Up,
beanbag.
catch, around your back.
You juggled
All right,
a lot of
got it?
stuff.
A new year, a new experience.
It's a great.
Practice that a few times.
What are we doing?
Okay, you guys ready for that one, your back? Because it's gonna get harder.
You ready?
Testing grounds of coordination.
So now, what, Jenny, I might need your help with this. Sure. Bring your knee down and watch the cord.
Wait, I do need to.
Yes. All right, you will need a partner. So here's what's going to these.
Wait, I need a partner?
Yes, you're me. Oh, I did do it. Yeah, you guys have a partner and you're my partner.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so here's just, I always say right, left, and I bear with me. Okay, sorry. All right, so you're gonna hold this in your right hand. Put your beanbag in your right hand.
Beanbag in your right.
And we're kind of skipping like lightning speed. Normally there's a lot of stuff in between. So hold out both hands. And you're going to pass, you don't toss. This is where I got violent and threw it at my friend's face. Don't throw this. So you're going to keep both hands out and you're going to clap onto, at the same time, you're going to clap and then clap to your own hand and then clap onto the opposite and then clap onto your own. And you will notice perfect. Yay! Okay, everybody look up front. Good boy. Agree.
You kind of messed with my.
Okay, so do you feel a bit of? Are you gonna try?
That's why
You get it?
It's like
You
jumbo.
try it? All right, so now that you started with the right hand, passing, can you switch hands and start with your left hand and pass? Oh, you guys are doing the next level. Yeah. They're next level. All right, so they went diagonal. That's the next one. Yeah. You're actually here, what? So you're gonna start, and you're just gonna pass. Yes, great. There you go. Now clap. And now clap it to your right hand. Now clap. No. Okay. Yes. Wow. All right. So you're gonna pass it to that, and then you're gonna clap that. Yes. And then basically making the right hand. All right. Let's try to do one more, actually. Okay, so instead of clapping over, you're gonna go around your back. You ready? All right, Jenny. Everybody look at Jenny. These guys will probably get it. So instead of clapping, you're gonna go around your back. All right, pass it to you. Ready? Okay. All right, here we go. Ready? You're gonna put it in your partner's hand, opposite hand, and then around your back. Partner's hand, 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 around your back. Now switch hands. Like this Mary Mac. Yeah. Yeah. Right there, right. All right. Okay, how'd everybody do? Pretty good? Okay.
I'm not sure.
I like that one.
All right, so.
It's kind of like, don't remember doing more.
So how does your brain feel?
Just Mary Mac.
It does feel tired. Kind of what? Kind of a little tingly. I swear, there's sometimes when I do this. We did this with racquetballs at the front of the Lincoln Library, and it was me and a board member. And we embarrassed ourselves. We should have started with beanbags. We were running all over the place. It was probably about 50 degrees, but we were out there running around so hard, we're sweating because, I mean, we're fine anyway. So it does get very physical, but your brain is working. It will also calm you down. Your breathing will regulate, all of that. So that was obviously like a crash course. And but those are also just the warm-ups. Okay. So you start getting your feet involved when you pass the beanbag to your partner, you get your feet involved, and then there's clapping involved and all of that. So it gets much more complex as your brain is able to handle it. Okay, but with that, you're able to handle more complex tasks in your job, in your life, or in your children's or grandchildren's child's life, and that helps you be more productive. So,
Just FYI, this went fast.
I know. So I also, oh my goodness, that is very, very different. So I had some other stuff I want to do with you guys, but I also wanted to get you the with the beanbag. Do you like that? Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. So play allows us to let our guard down. It helps us develop compassion, empathy, cooperation, and communication, which is the, I think, the source and cornerstone of community, which was your theme for today. So I thank you for your good-natured swordsmanship in doing these activities. Doing all of those things, that's an actual program, like I said, we kids through, or adults. I do this with, like I said, the adult daycare. So I have a wide variety of children and I think all children. So we do even better when we have unstructured play. That is another workshop. So thank you all for being such good sports. I appreciate. If you have any questions about, anything about balance and exploration, I'm happy to answer. Oh. I love this. It should play. This is an example. These are not my students. Like I said, we are pretty spastic. It's not good. There it goes. This is what it can or should look like with racquetballs if it plays. There we go. Maybe I'm just going to take a while. I'm trying to get it up to your. Okay, well, I'll just, if it comes up, it comes up. I think it's just loading. It might take a while. Okay, but thank you so much. Did you have any questions?
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's our custom to provide an honorarium to our speakers, and today it's a why-not workshop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It goes to rent.
We got the cards back. Yeah, we got our greeting cards back. Thank you, great program. Feedback. With that, we are adjourned. Remember the hands-on project over here with the milk jugs starting now. Thank you all.
Milk duds. Sound like we said milk duds.
Milk jugs.
All right, this is the club's content. Thank you.